Okay, welcome to the Bay Area's Women Theater Festival Amplify Artist Conversation. I am Cheri Miller, and I am an instigator on the Amplify team. With theaters closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our Amplify 24-hour performance event, originally scheduled at Brava Theater for April 18th and 19th, with 70 plus performances by over 200 artists, is on hold. But we refuse to allow the need for social distancing to keep us from amplifying our work and our amazing women, non binary, and trans artists' work. So today we are in conversation with Comika Hartford, and we will talk with her about her journey with Domesticated, a sci fi Afrofuturistic podcast directed by Celia C. Peters, and also The Gray Area. We will include a link to episode 1 that you'll be able to view. And of course, we'll talk about all that she's working on, even beyond that. You can find out more information about Comika's work at www.comikahartford.com and make a donation to her ongoing work through her paypal.me/blame the writer. And please stay tuned for the rescheduling of the Bay Area's Women Theater Festival Amplify 24-hour performance event by visiting our website at www.bayareawomenstheaterfestival.com. Hi, Kamika. Thank you for being part of our Amplify event and for joining us today.
Hi, Cheri. Always good to talk to you.
Yay. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been odd the past couple weeks, but as a writer, I've just started to realize my whole life has been sort of self-quarantining. I did not know that until this happened. So
Yes, yes,
an
I
interesting
definitely.
revelation.
I definitely understand that portion of it. As an artist, there is some seclusion that I am very used to when I'm beginning the process of work. And so this has just enabled me to focus a little bit better on my work, I think. But at the same time, uh, it's left me longing for and really valuing the interactions when we go into the theater, when we are in community together. So I'm glad you're with us today.
Me too.
So let's jump right into it and talk about your journey of finding and using your voice within your art form. There are not a lot of women of color involved in horror. And that genre is so exciting to me. So let's just dive right in.
All right, cool. Well, I would definitely recommend anyone listening to check out the documentary Horror Noir, because it really gives a historical perspective on Black artists in horror. And after watching that, you really see like, wow, like we really own this genre, and our journey in this United States is very much a horror story. And I just find that it's such a beautiful medium. It's such a wide-ranging medium. Everything from Jordan Peele with a very kind of intellectual, kind of psychological, classy, creepy approach to Rob Zombie. It's like it's so varied, and I love that. And when we look at what Nia DaCosta is going to be doing with Candyman, I can't wait to see that. I always love the original. I can't wait to see what she does as a director. I'm excited for this almost this renaissance I feel that's sort of happened recently.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't lead in with the small portion that I've played within your journey, but I want to talk about it.
Hmm.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the gray area. And when I arrived on set and first began to take it all in, I was just in awe, absolute awe. Like, oh, we can really do this. Yes, we can.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I loved what you did with the character. What the gray area is the story of a prosecutor in San Francisco who comes across a strangely angelic murder defendant, and it kind of opens the door to this supernatural world. I was lucky enough to get Skylar Cooper to agree to play the essentially the angel, and
Mhm.
I decided to do a kind of limited web series, with, like, 5 episodes. You're in chapter 2. We're just wrapping up the last one now. The first 2 have already kind of done their festival circuit, and they did great. I'll be putting those up online really soon. The next 3, including the one you're in, will be doing the festival circuit over the next couple months, and probably a lot of, film festivals are gonna have to be online, which, is disappointing because we love going to get to meet other artists and connect, but we're gonna make the best of it, and I'm excited to get them out there. I'm excited to, yeah, one, to wrap up the project because it was kind of an epic one that actually started out as a film, and it made more sense to finish it in this kind of short form web series format because, one, I could keep control over it and finish it the way that I really wanted to.
Mhm. Your team was amazing too. Let's talk about the team that you put together to um, even build the space to do the gray area.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd have to give big thanks to my friend Eric Shapiro and his wife, Rhoda Jordan Shapiro. They helped with the production in so many ways, not just as consulting producers, but they also connected me to Zarina Wan, who directed us that day, who's awesome. And I'd also have to give a big shout out to the director of chapters 1 and 3, Torian Allen, who's a local awesome director. Um, so many awesome people that not only were inspired by this story, but definitely felt that it had messages, critique, commentary about their interactions with not just Christianity, but the concept of good and evil. And they were really into the dialogue of it. Torian and I shot like some MLS footage out at the beach a year and a half, well, about a year ago, and it was just so epic and beautiful, and just getting to work with people that understood such nuance and shadow and light, and yeah, so it's been so exciting working with them. And of course Skylar Cooper, who he plays the angel, but he also, just because he's a fellow writer and he's a director, he and I spoke at length about the story threads, and I definitely view him as someone who was instrumental in the whole process.
Truly, Skylar has been a hero for me since the day I met him, and he continues to blow me away with the way he creates art
Mm.
and the way he uses his voice and his entire presence, even in the process of creating. So I was really excited to be a part of a project that he had already worked on and put his stamp of approval on. So, and then of course, just blown away, just completely blown away by the entire team and the entire process. Bettina was such an amazing artist to watch and learn from in that process. That was my film debut. So I
I
was
know,
learning
it's so great. I
everybody.
can't believe that was your first time on camera. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. And so I don't want to focus too much on what I know. I definitely want to give the audience a full view. Let's talk a little bit about Domesticated.
Oh, yes. So, this amazing director, Celia, this is her baby. It's such an epic concept. Essentially, the Earth has been taken over and instantly, like without a sound, by these alien forces, and humans are relegated into a domesticated, almost pet-like state. And what I found so amazing about this world that she had created was that she perfectly blended not just concepts of chattel slavery, not just weird concepts about how we treat animals now, how we treat animals for food, how we treat animals that are our pets, but she emerged with something so human and so strange, and yet so hopeful. Like, when I read the scripts, I was like, "Oh my god." She was like, "Do you wanna do this?" I was like, "Girl, keep me from doing this. There is no way to stop me. This is amazing." So, she just put up episode 1, and, I recorded it, and I was amazed by it. I am it's funny because 'cause it's been long enough since I recorded it to where, like, I forgot some things, and I was listening like a little kid, like, "Oh, no, don't go in there." And I'm like, "Girl, you recorded this. What are you surprised about?" I just
You
love that, it's like you end up doing other stuff and helping with other projects, and you forget, because I didn't write it, and, I just forgot all of the just the nuance and the I mean, there's no other word for the writing of it for what she did than insidious. Like, it gets under your skin, and then afterwards, you're like,
Mhm.
"What did I just listen to?" Gotta say,
Wow.
art like that. I love that.
Oh, that's awesome. And then I want to also talk about your ongoing work with a magazine out of Atlanta, right?
Yeah, me and my partner in crime, Dorothy, we have an online publication called Dope Sista, and it really is just a simple platform to amplify, if you will, just all things dope. Amazing women doing amazing stuff. We do like interviews throughout the year. Dorothy is definitely more of the scholar. So she'll do like every year, like a few like really in-depth pieces. And it's been such a great way to connect with so many people doing so many great things that are in different states and different countries. Um, I just I've been so grateful for the opportunity to get to meet. That's actually, funnily enough, that's how I met Celia C. Peters, because we
Oh,
interviewed her, yeah, about her film Godspeed, which is amazing. She has a few different awesome projects. And I was just so intrigued by her sci-fi Afrofuturistic visions that I was like, wow, people need to know about this director. So then through that connection, I was able to end up being involved with Domesticated. And again, it's an example of when you see people doing awesome stuff and you want to broadcast their awesomeness. What often happens is almost like I don't know, like a building wave of other cool things that end up happening around you. And it's like it becomes a snowball avalanche of really awesome creativity that happens when you amplify others that are doing amazing work.
I agree. I definitely agree. And what better way for us to stand together as women within our artistry, but to continue to amplify each other's work? Um, let's talk about making space and finding your space within the horror genre and this male dominated field that we're in.
Yeah, what I've done, and again, in many ways, I'm at the beginning of my journey, is that I found that if at any point I doubt myself, if at any point I am not sure, if at any point I am not driving ahead forward confidently, to the point where if someone tries to talk over me, I talk over them. And I know that that gives people a perception of me that I am, I don't know, pushy or etc. But what I've also noticed is that they respect me and I get stuff done. So I've had to be very comfortable being not liked. And when you dress all in black and gently stroke a white cat and sit in the dark, people tend to think you're a little weird anyway. So it's not like I'm losing anything. So I found I felt like I'm losing friends. So I found that just being unapologetically myself and doing what, Clive Barker, a horror icon, said. He said, "Trust your madness." I have listened to him and he is right. So at any point when someone tries to, I don't know, mansplain what I'm up to, I'm just, let me stop you right there. I know what I'm doing. Now, are we going to end up friends? Probably not. But that's the last time that they do that. And what I've noticed is now I don't, as I'm not apologizing for myself, as I'm not asking, as I'm simply completing stuff straightforward and not being afraid of having a difficult conversation. And I don't mean as a confrontation, but just like, hey, I hired you, I'm paying you. Why is it that when I ask you something, you ignore me and go ask the director that I have also hired?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's that difficult moment, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll come to you." Awesome. Problem solved. Years ago, that would have made me uncomfortable. Now that's just a normal part of life, and if that makes that gentleman uncomfortable, he doesn't need to work on post on my next production. That's the end of it, and it's not personal. It's just we need to get things done. And what I found is there's so many people that love that, that respect that, because they know if they bring me on to write their script, that it's gonna get finished. If they bring me on to help with their production, it's gonna get finished, and that's the end of it. So, I don't know, I guess that's a long, convoluted way of saying that approaching things with a sense of confidence, approaching things with a sense of "I've got this," and understanding that, you know, creating anything is hard. Creating a bad web series is hard, let alone creating a great one. So
Mm-hmm.
in creating a team that wants to work with you, now you're unstoppable because yeah, the ocean is huge. The ocean can sink a boat, but the tiniest boat that doesn't have leaks in it can cross the ocean.
That is so inspiring. And I will say that the number one takeaway for me working with you on the gray area was your ability to not only participate at the level of an artist as an actor within that process, but also as I am the writer and this is my baby. Um, I left there just so inspired by your ability to own all of those hats at the same time. And again, by the phenomenal team that you put together to even create that process of work. So thank you. And I know that people will be inspired by what you just shared. Owning our madness, owning that, yes, my voice is different from his voice, and my style is different from his style, but it works and I can get the job done. Yes, that's it.
Awesome. I'm gonna put that on a bumper sticker.
So tell me what excited you about the Amplify 24-hour performance event. I know when we began to curate this whole process, and we were receiving applicants to participate, I reached out to you directly. I'm like, I want Kamika. I want Kamika. Sorry. I want her to be a part of this. And so I appreciate you saying yes. But tell me what excited you about that.
Mm. Well, as a San Francisco born creative weirdo, I love anything that celebrates the fiery creative spirit that I grew up with. But when I was a kid, San Francisco, in fact, the whole Bay Area was just filled with a bunch of awesome, crazy, broke artists like Leo Valador, and it was like amazing. So anything that has that raw vibrancy that takes me back to my childhood just makes me so excited. And also, frankly, I really just wanted to connect with another generation of amazing people in the Bay Area doing fiery work that will just get up and just make it happen. I love that.
That is, it's going to be an amazing event. I'm so looking forward to the time when we can take up space together, to even think that we're able to program. We were programming 7 different spaces within Brava all at the same time with constant performances, constant offering. And there's never been anything like it. Never. And what better way to say that we're here, we're worthy of having our work valued, and having our work on a platform that definitely will lift us up, and continuing the work, than to say, oh no, we're going to do this for 24 hours straight.
Awesome.
Yeah. Who,
Awesome. I love it.
who needs sleep?
I love it.
So,
I love
and
your feeling about that. Like, yeah, that's the Bay Area I know. Awesome.
yeah, yeah. And so if you could lend some inspiration to a younger artist just beginning, um,
Mhm.
let's talk about at what point you may have wanted to give up on your artistry and the inspiration that kept you going.
Um, well, I would say for young people going forward that wanna write or be filmmakers or actors, directors, start right now. You have a phone in your pocket, to get together with your creative friends, start making videos, start making short films, start writing plays for each other. It is the best way to start. Um, and as far as times I wanted to give up, the truth is I think every artist at some point kind of is like that, and I think that point can happen a few times a year, but specifically the last time it really happened to me, ooh, it was when I had written The Gray Area out as a film, and it looked like it was gonna get picked up by Lionsgate. So there was a few really exciting weeks there, and then it fell through, and I was devastated. I'd gone into debt to, like, do certain parts of the thing and get it written, etcetera, and I was devastated. Um, it was yeah, and it was the same time, like, my engagement had fallen through, and I was very much kind of alone and having to go like, "Do I really still want to do this? Do I wanna do a
Mm,
thing?" And I think that freedom to actually stop and go, "Wait, do I wanna do this?" And ask myself that, and be okay with there not being an immediate answer, and just sitting with it. And when the answer came back, it was almost like one of my ancestors just snatched me up, like, "Get up and write something. This is what you have. Write some other stuff. Make it happen. Of course, don't bring that stuff in here." And I'm like, "Ah, you're right." So it's like I got ancestors snatched. Um,
yeah.
but I had to sit in that space of, do I want to give up and actually be okay with the answer? And
Yes.
come back full strength. And so that's kind of what happened. And so I was like, all right, I don't have a movie studio, I don't have this. I can reach out to my awesome friends like Eric and Rhoda and Torian and get awesome people like Zarina Wan, who's a great director, and Catherine Castro, who's a great DP, and get awesome people to finish this story the way I can finish this story without a studio. Great. Now it's a web series. Make it happen, finish it. So
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Awesome. I I think I've been ancestral. I've been slapped by ancestors as well. I definitely have had those moments where I've doubted myself, doubted my artistry and my ability to create, especially against the backdrop of such a dominated field by some amazing, well trained artists, and looking at what I lacked. But I think that that's definitely something that is necessary to go through as an artist to find whether you have the yes, I can do this inside. And that definitely came through for me from an ancestral slap. So, and let's talk about in closing, let's talk about your greatest feedback. Lionsgate, just to have had a conversation with them, I know for the gray area, I'm sure that that was a huge high. But let's talk about your greatest feedback.
Well, yeah, and that was more of like what I think of like as a false high or a false spring. I would say that like my greatest feedback, one has been with the artist that I named, coming on board and just being awesome, getting to connect with the director I mentioned, Tori and Allen, and he and his wife and I become friends. She's a photographer, he's a filmmaker. Um, that has definitely been just, I don't know, one of those times where you just feel your work so seen and recognized. But I have to say, my favorite audience feedback was when we were editing a part of the gray area where my character was like, she's a demon type character, and as always. And one of the sir's friends had, come to pick him up, and they were really nice. We're like, "Oh, you can stay here. We're almost done." So he got to see like a full scene of it, and he didn't see me standing there. So he watched it, and then he turned on, and I was kind of dressed in black, kind of like the character. So he turned and saw me and screamed, went like, "Ah!" And then we all laughed, and he's like, "I'm sorry, you scared me standing right there after watching that." I was like, "This is the greatest thing that has ever happened."
And I will say, I had that moment too. But we were in the ladies' room, and you were getting ready for a scene, and something came out of your mouth, and I won't say what, but I was like, "Whoa!"
I know, that was awesome. I love that.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, this
that's
conversation
my
has been I'm sorry. Yeah, that is amazing. But this conversation has been so inspiring, Micah. Thank you for your artistry, for your excellence, your commitment. And we are even more excited to provide a platform for you to showcase your work when we're allowed to take up space again. And thank you, audience, for listening wherever you are. And you can find links to Kamika's work on our social media page, Bay Area Women's Theater Festival, and her website again at www.comikahartford.com. And please, if you can, make a donation of any size to further the work, as the commitment to our art is unchanged. Amplify women's voices with us. Thank you so much, Kamika.
Thank you, Cheri.